So in this episode, we're going to be doing a lot of stuff in the shop. We've got a new car getting dropped off. We've got the Blazer finished up. We've got, progress to be made on the OBS truck. The El Camino's getting some love, so let's get to it. You're watching the Vasco Speed Performance YouTube channel. Today's episode is brought to you by Tim Tams, Australia's most iconic and favorite chocolate biscuit. If you haven't tried Tim Tams, make sure you do. You can get them on Amazon and a lot of your local grocery stores. So, if you're in the mood for a good chocolatey biscuit, make sure you check out Tim Tams. Okay, we're on the, I know we keep saying this, but we're on the Blazer. We're on the end of this Blazer and it keeps causing us issues. So the problem we had with this now is it would not shift. We couldn't get the transmission to shift, and it was because it wasn't getting a vehicle speed. And we plugged in the vehicle speed sensor, and that's the vehicle speed sensor. But as you can see, somebody has silicone hucky-puckied and done some interesting stuff to this transfer case adapter. So apparently, if you had a four-wheel drive 4L60E, the speed sensor is in the transfer case, not in this. But if you have a two-wheel drive, it's here. That being said, we had to go down this road of figuring out, oh, there's no reluctor for this to pick up to even know what speed we're going, and then find out that somebody has... I don't know the terminology for that. I don't know the word to use. I mean, I have some words that I'd probably get in trouble for saying, so.
I mean, it's glued, but it's threaded.
I don't know if it's threaded and glued. Who knows? But it didn't move, and supposedly it worked before, but now we don't have a reluctor. So we bought a kit for this, and this is the kit that we've got. So it comes with a reluctor that, has these little set screws, whereas the last people, I'll drop a picture now, they just decided to MIG weld the gear on there, which looked rather
garbage.
Yeah, that's French for garbage. And so we're going to be putting this speed sensor in here, and we tried to see if maybe we could just put the reluctor on, but this one sticks out too far. See, this one's adjustable. So this is the one that comes with the kit, and we went ahead and got a connector for it. And it's got this fancy deal that goes on the inside. So we're going to clean this thing up, and then we're going to try to figure out a way to either utilize the hole that's there, or we might have to just cut this sensor off and make a new hole. So, but this is part of the challenges of working on aftermarket stuff. So we'll update you on what we find out for this.
Yep, it's getting there.
So he went ahead and took out the old sensor because it was just glued in there, and then we're contemplating cleaning this up and just welding this in, because then it's going to be really solid and it's going to be exactly what we want.
And I think that's kind of the way they design it, because by how much shoulder's sticking out of there, I mean, you still can't even get the nut on it.
You're right.
So it's like, and that's where they showed it at,
right?
Unless they had a different extension,
right,
housing or something.
I think if you were to maybe recess it a little bit more in there, and then maybe, because I think where they drilled it at, they're probably a little tight over here. So if you were to sand one side of it down a little bit, it would probably go in there pretty straight and go down a little bit further, and I think it would probably weld in good. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I like that, and if we can put the nut on it, obviously, the better.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
Heck yeah. Okay. Cool. I like it.
I guess. I'd say, yeah, I did.
Braden lost his phone, so we were joking about that. Anyways, so we're trying to figure out this deal here, and we're going to basically make an aluminum plate that comes in here that fills this cavity up so that fluid won't leak out. But when this is flat in here like so, the problem is it needs to be pretty much about like that in order for the sensor to get the right depth. So what I need to do is I need to make something that is like a washer that'll go around that has this curvature to it to space this out, right? How much do we need to space it out?
Maybe like 100,000.
Okay, so I think we can 3D print a washer type thing to go in there.
That would be pretty cool.
So let's go in the office and we'll draw something up and see how she shows up. Let's take a look at this thing. So this is how it turned out. First shot, went ahead and 3D printed this little washer, and it has the curvature of this diameter, and it fits over our sensor. Muy perfecto.
Goes in the hole.
In the hole. Lines up flat, just like we wanted it to. And then their goofy wedge deal goes on that side, and the nut goes on, and should be good to go. Look at us go.
Making things happen.
Yep. Fixing problems left and right.
Yep. Gotta have solutions, not problems.
Yep. That's a good life motto.
Yep.
Solutions,
Not problems.
not problems. Cool. We went ahead and made a little plate, filled this in, welded it in so that fluid doesn't get into where the sensor's at. And then on this side, we went and hogged it out, and it's closed at that point. Now we're gonna stick this deal in here with this fancy dancy little plastic washer we made with the 3D printer. Now we stick our one spacer on there.
And then we'll lock tight the nut and stuff once we verify our height is right.
Yeah, we'll have to put a feeler gauge between the sensor and the reluctor to make sure that it has the right air gap.
What's their spec is 10 and 12. Ow.
Okay. So that's how this will go in there. Way, way better than just gluing it in there with big league chew.
Yeah, bubble gum and hopes and dreams.
Yeah. So, okay. Cool. Well,
Give it a shot.
See how she fits. Well, it shifts. We got the speedo working. We got the transmission shifting like it should. Our little 3D printed shim worked out amazing. This thing's pretty cool. It's like an old truck that moves around and everything, but for the most part, pretty neat truck. So we're gonna have Joey tune it when he comes into town. Once he gets the tune knocked on it, should be good for the customer to pick up. Okay, we're back on Cody's turbo kit. We've got the turbo mounted, the Maven is welded, the bracket to hold the turbo up is supported, and Braden's been working on welding some of this exhaust piping up. He's working on some stuff over there, but we'll do another update in a little bit.
My cousin was asking if I can sense it when the camera's on. I'm like, yeah, dude, definitely.
Like right now?
Yeah, like right now.
Okay. Braden's made pretty good progress. He got the wastegates on. There's one over there. One over here.
Something like that.
Yeah, that'll look good. So he's gonna work on getting the wastegates, and then the last thing we gotta do is weld the pipes into the T6 flange over there. And then the hot side's done, right?
Right.
Then we're waiting on the intercooler ends to show up because somebody thought it was a cool idea to cut them off of the intercooler. So once those...
Very transcendent of them.
Yeah. Very what?
Transcendent.
Yeah, I guess. So anyways, once we get those in, we'll be able to knock that out and do the cold side. So it should work pretty good. New week, new car. So we just got this 70 Camaro dropped off. It's got a turbo LS with methanol. we are going to be adding some bars, like the door bars and things like that. We're going to be finishing some tin work around these 4-link or ladder bars. And then we're going to be doing some tin work back here on the trunk area to separate the fuel cell from the driver. So a bunch of cool stuff on this, and I believe Joey's going to end up tuning this thing. Trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, we got to make a belly pan and put a window net in it too. So a lot of cool stuff in plan for this car coming up. We're going to try and work on it some this week, and then hopefully get it knocked out and get everything ready for Joey. Okay, had a busy day, so I haven't really got to mess with this as much as I did yesterday, but I went ahead and got this plate welded in. That covers up the massive hole like that side, and then I made this piece here that goes up, and then I made a cardboard template for that side, and I'm working on one for this side, and I believe this one will kind of go in like that, and then it'll get welded in there, and it'll box in for the ladder bars, and then we just have to focus on getting the back area done. So I'm going to work on getting both of these ladder bars covered up, and then we'll focus on doing the rest of it. And then he's got some wiring and stuff that needs done. It's got fuel tech on it, and we're going to be adding a trans sensor and some other items to it. So let's get to work. If you're in the need for a belly pan and don't see one that will fit your car on our website, or you don't know what K member you have, hit us up. We can always make you a custom one, just like we did with this car. However, we do need the vehicle to make the belly pan, but we can get you taken care of. On Justin's car, we've got the rear end in. We're still waiting on the anti-roll bar to show up. That being said, I am going to design new brackets for these to move them out a little further. If we don't buy a set that'll work, we'll make a set. That way we don't have to redo this bar, and then I'll just make a bracket that goes up there that holds the upper shock, and I think that'll fix that situation. For this situation, I'm just going to use a backer plate, and I'm going to end up making my own brake caliper bracket that'll probably weld onto the rear end. That should solve the brake caliper rotor situation, and then all we have to do is get a little bit of a spacer for the wheel, which he was planning on doing that anyways, and then the rear end's done, and then we can focus on doing the rear mounted radiator on this thing. So making some progress, but kind of waiting on the anti-roll bar at this point. Okay, a lot of you have been asking about updates on the Maverick. So Braden is in here doing some welding on the cage for this beast. He did a little bit the other day, and he's going to work on welding the bottom, welding the top. Once we get that done, then we can start adding some more bars into this thing and get the cage done. Then we'll probably drop the cage so we can weld everything on top, but making pretty good progress on it. Okay, so on the OBS truck, yesterday we tried to get it to fire, and it didn't want to start. It kept backfiring, and I was busy working. I should have got video of it, but it is what it is. But we've got everything all wired up. Everything looks like it's there. It's supposed to work how we want it to work. We had to get a little bit creative up here with the map sensor, because the map sensor that we got, it was a 3-bar map sensor for a Duramax, and apparently that's one of my weaknesses, is ordering the correct map sensor. But they usually have some funky clip on factory intake, so you have to have that style. I had another one laying around, so
yeah,
we just
the bolt-in style.
Yeah, we just did, but it wouldn't clip into that one, so we just stuck a piece of hose on it, and then I happened to have the correct adapter harness for it laying around. So map sensor data is correct, everything's correct, but it kept backfiring. And so we kept trying to think, okay, what would cause this to backfire? Generally, that's timing related. So we don't know anything about the engine, so somebody could have possibly timed it incorrectly, or it could have an incorrect sensor. I mean, you could have a 58 tooth crank sensor, you could have a 24 tooth crank sensor, you could, you know, who knows if the reluctor on the end of the cam's wrong, whatever. But this being a 24 tooth, the cam sensor's in the back, and it should have a 24 tooth style, which I believe is the black one, the black crank sensor. But anyways, Matthew did his due diligence, and we were getting a RPM, so we knew the crank sensor was working.
Yep.
So our next guess was it was probably something to do with cam timing or the cam sensor. So we went ahead and started thinking about it, and Matthew went ahead and pulled the old cam sensor out. So let's look at that one. So this is a brand new one, but you'll notice on the bottom of it, it says Delphi. So Holley can be very picky with its sensors, and it did not like this one. So Matthew had an OEM stock one at the house. He brought it in, stuck it in there, and she fired right up.
Yep, fired right up.
One of the other things we were thinking about doing is switching it to batch fire. So if you ever have a car that you think you might have a cam sensor issue, you can switch it to batch fire. And basically all that's going to do is just fire randomly, just not in an order. But a lot of times when you do that, you can get an extended crank because it doesn't know where number one is. So, but needless to say, we ended up figuring it out. So it kind of threw us for a little loop, but we were confident in everything that we had done, and just figured it was probably something to do with the sensor. So that being said, let's fire this thing up.
Let's do it.
Okay. So the exhaust on the OBS truck is knocked out. Braden did a great job on that. So Matthew's gonna fire it up. We're gonna see how this thing sounds. So we're back on Mike's Mustang, and we're trying to figure out how to mount the gas tank in the back of the trunk of this car. And we came up with the option to go ahead and just build another bar that goes across the back. But while we're building that, we figured why not turn it into a parachute mount? So that's what Matthew's working on, building a parachute mount for Mike's Mustang. Turned out pretty cool. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We are at 4,092, I believe, subscribers. So if you enjoy this channel and you like what you see, you like seeing, you know, beater mom content, you like seeing building stuff, doing hot rods, make sure you click that subscribe button. We'd much appreciate it. We're trying to hit 5,000, so we're pretty close. So as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one.